Send me a message, like S, for example. Okay, send me message to. Okay. Oh, a table. Table info. Table. It's like a Spain. Yes. It's like a Spain. Yes. Okay, this is to evaluate here. Yes. And after this session, it is another session of our workshop, and maybe I can send to him. Yes.
No, because it's online.
To evaluate.
Yeah, but it's online.
It's online. We have also to evaluate online. Yes.
But last year this is for the awards.
Not
No?
only.
Not the awards.
Oh,
No,
okay.
just the paper. No, the chair of the session
Yes.
must just to say the paper was good, not good.
Yeah, I know. But the reason for that is that we have some awards to grant.
They don't.
Okay.
Technical
It's not
assistance.
Last year it was only for presential.
Presential, all right.
Ah,
Yes.
okay. Sorry. So just for present.
So just for presential.
Yes. If is it
No, it was last year. I don't know this year.
No, it's the same. I'm just technical assistant.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry.
But probably you know better. I don't know.
But the presentation is not here.
No.
No.
Not yet.
This is the GC?
No, GC it's good. Yes, you see, but you see wait, see. One moment, because I think.
Temos que ir ver o café com o
This is so weird. Yes, there is PowerPoint. But...
O Valu.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work. So, okay.
Anna, why do you need a support? You can talk.
Inspiring.
I can talk over here, no?
Yes, because online, okay, if you can just follow the slide
The
online,
link online.
because with PDF,
Uh-huh.
the
Oh, it's only with PowerPoint?
Yes.
Oh, so you will see mine.
And
this one.
how can I?
This one.
And it is online also?
Yes.
Like this?
You are online?
No, can't stay online.
É, mas
Mas eu vou ficar online,
eu vou
yes.
estar online, peraí.
Works online?
I will see in a minute. So,
But it is not here.
This is incredible, really. It's the first time.
Não, não é esse. Ué.
also no, I know.
It's not online.
É este. Marina, não é este.
It's not online? Where is the online?
Here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
We are sharing.
Oh, it's online. Fine.
Yeah, it's online.
So, if it's online,
But it is not here.
no,
We will follow online. Oh,
We cannot follow.
just close the.
Yes. Sorry.
This is really strange. I have to talk with the technical assistant.
Maybe
Não,
talk first. Disseste o autor para dizer.
Não.
Hello?
Não, não pode. Olha, podes começar a
Ninguém online. Só estás tu, não é?
Sim.
Tu vais falar e a apresentação está no Jitsi, é isso?
É.
Tá lá, vamos. Vamos ler aqui.
Olha,
Diz. Sorry, I close.
The main technical assistant is busy. So.
Yeah.
no, I'll talk like this.
Yeah.
Okay. I can. Yeah.
Oh, good man, Angela.
Okay.
consegue por exemplo
Não sei.
Vai aí fazer modo de apresentação, olha. Ou full screen.
It's worse. It's okay.
Too much this.
Tu tens isso? Anda boa.
Não estava aqui uma coisa destas. Funciona.
Espera aí, ainda está a reconhecer.
Yes. Great. Go ahead.
Ok. Não está ninguém na mão.
Queres que pronto para?
You have 10 minutes.
Okay, this is the first session of the workshop, Computational Optimization and Application. Thank you for being here, for attending the session. I will start, I am the first speaker, I will start talking about the firefighting resource dispatch problem optimization using meteoristics. So this is the outline of my work. Is someone saving this? Saving the session?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
that's why I
Yes.
should talk in English, okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So this is the outline. I will start with the introduction to the work. Then I'll show the objectives, that is to solve the resource dispatch problem and outline of my work. And then I'll show the meteoristics that will be used and some results. Forest fires have become more frequent, and it is a serious disaster in recent decades. The effective firefighting management is crucial to preventing and mitigating the damage. So optimization is an area that has been widely used to improve decision making for combating forest fires. So this is optimization is applied in the fire suppression. So the fire suppression is crucial for the safety of people and property and the environment also. So we should use some strategy, implement some strategies of fire suppression to minimize the risk and also minimize the impact of the fires. So it is in this work I will show the optimization of the firefighting resource dispatch problem. This is a problem that the idea is to find the optimal allocation of resources to ignitions over time. The idea is to minimize the total burned area, and we will use two meteoristics, the genetic algorithm and the differential evolution. In particular, the goal of this problem, so we want to minimize the dispatch problem, the resource dispatch problem. So we want to assign the firefighting resource that should be used in to fight each ignition. And we want to fight the ignition as quickly as possible to reduce the impact of the fire. And we also we want to minimize the burned area. In a resource dispatch problem, we have ignitions, and for each ignition, we have the value of the burned area. We also have resources that are water tank vehicles with fixed capacity that will actuate in the ignitions. And we also have the required water to extinguish each ignition over time and the travel time or distance between each ignition. these are some assumptions that we have in the problem. Set that the initial instant all ignitions are active, they are burning, and they are located in different places. All resources are in the base, so in the fire station, and they have full tank capacity. We have the travel times that are calculated according to the Euclidean distance between ignitions and the base. And we also have the burned area that is based on the differential on the exponential growth model, and we have the required order that is based on the perimeter of a circle based on the burned area of each ignition. Each ignition can only be extinguished once, but they can be extinguished by one or more resources. I have already said that each resource has a maximum tank of water capacity, and as soon as they are extinguishing ignitions, they could be run out of water. So at each instant of time, a resource is extinguished in ignition, or is traveling to ignition, or it is refilling its tank. When a resource runs out of water, it can be refilled, and it is refilled in the same ignition where it is located. And after being refilled, it can be extinguishing that ignition that is located or other ignitions. If the ignition has not yet been totally extinguished. Okay, we had to do a permutation representation. So the chromosome for GA and TE, it is a sequence of integer values. So, for example, here we have a chromosome size of 18, and the chromosome size is the number of resources times the number of ignitions times the M, that is a value that corresponds to the number of times that the resource can return to a given ignition. So suppose we have two resources, and we have three ignitions, ignition 1, 2, and 3. And this is, if we have this decision pair, this chromosome, the first three elements in ascending order are related to ignition 1 for each resource, and the following three values are related to the ignition 2 for each resource, and the third three values are related to the ignition 3. So suppose so this is the order of ignitions that resource 1 will be extinguishing, and this is the order of ignition. So resource 2 will go to ignition 1. So first, the resources are at the base. This is the capacity of each resource, and the resource 2 goes to ignition 1, and resource 1 goes to ignition 2. The time is based. The time that takes each resource to go to each ignition is given by this travel time table. So this is resource 1 goes to ignition 2, and resource 2 goes to ignition 1, but at time 10, resource 2 is traveling, okay, to ignition, because here we can see that from base to ignition 2 it takes 10, but from base to ignition 1 it takes 20. It's not here. From base to ignition 1 it takes 20. Okay. This is the required water. So if we extinguish ignition 2, then resource 1 is 1000 minus this. This is the water required to extinguish ignition 2. So resource 1 lives with 646 liters. This is the burned area on time 10 for ignition 2. Here are the for time instance 20 and 30. So, for example, resource 2 goes to its time equals 20 is at ignition 1. So you can see here the required water after 20 minutes or 20 times 20. We have this is the required water. So resource 2 will be run out water. Okay, 0 liters, and the ignition is not totally extinguished. So here the ignition resource 1 can have to go to ignition 1. Here is here, okay, and resource 2 is refilling. In the last instance, all the ignitions are extinguished. Resource 2 goes to ignition 3, and all ignitions are extinguished. This is the remaining water in each resource. I haven't said I didn't say here that resource 1 first goes to ignition 2, and after that all the ignition 2 are crossed out because they could not be chosen in each the other resources. So some experiments. I don't know if I am too fast.
No.
No? I'm not checking the time. I don't know. Okay, the experiment. So we will use two algorithms, the genetic and differential evolution, and this is the objective function. The genetic algorithm has these steps. So, and the differential evolution is similar, but with the steps similar because also needs a mutation and a crossover operators. But the idea is it's similar. Okay, in the this is the problem data that the results are based on this problem. So we have 5, 7, and 10 resources, and we have 10 or 30 ignitions to be extinguished. We also know the capacity of the resources, and for instance of time from 10 to 100, we have the travel times and the burned area and the required water for this for each of the ignitions. These are the details for GA and DE, so initial population size of 200 and the maximum number of generations of 1,000 and the maximum number of function evaluation of 100,000. 10 instances of each problem. They were randomly generated and are available at this site. These are the results. So this is for the number of 20 ignitions, and these are with 5 resources, 7 resources, and 10 resources. And here for the 30 ignitions, here we have the TBA, the total burned area in average, and the used water in average, and the time required to the final time in average. Here is the processing time in average, the number of functional evaluations, and the number of generations in average. We can see here for each line, each row, sorry, here is the GA best. These are the results for the best results obtained in 30 runs, the best result, and here is the average values, average results, and here the DE best and the DE in average. We can see that the GA values obtain the lowest total burned area for all instances when comparing to DE. And also we can see that the lower used water values are lower, the lowest ones are obtained by GA. However, for DE, you can see that the processing time is the lowest processing time was found by DE, here in red. Okay. We made some statistical analysis. So this table shows the difference between the total burned area values between GA and DE. according to the best and average values. And if this difference is lower than 0, that you can see that is always lower than 0, then GA presents lower total burned area values than DE. And also you can see here the p-value that is lower than 0.001. That shows that GA is significantly better than DE. And finally, some conclusions. GA obtained better results in terms of total burned area value and also in terms of used water. So, and when compared to DE. However, DE takes less time to find the solution, so processing time, lower processing time. In future work, we want to solve this problem, but using real data. These are some references, and thank you. Any questions or remarks?
One question. Time is important if you are working on real time. If you have to decide if you have a fire incident. So even knowing that D is worse than GA, in terms of time, is that decisive or not? If you have to decide in a real quick time, or both are quick?
I think is the most important thing is to the burned area. Okay, the burned area is the lowest, is the best one. And if the burned area is lower, obviously the used water is lower too. And I think it is more important than time.
Okay.
I don't know if we have someone online. I don't know if
Delicious.
Yes, if you want. Hi,
Yes,
Elise.
usual.
Nice to meet you.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Hello.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
That's great because he had to try the microphone. That's great. I have two remarks. We have time for that now. Okay.
Okay.
So the first one, you said something about randomly generated instances. So this makes sense for the ignition, no? But you only mean with the ignition, not the location of the places and the volume of the tanks and this type of stuff, no?
The randomly generated instances. The instances were randomly generated. So the number of ignitions, we decide the number of ignitions and decide the number of resources. The things that are randomly generated were the travel times, the burned area, the used waters, and so on.
That doesn't sound logical because those guys are usually taken from geographical information, something like that. So that was the first remark. The second remark is the remark that I always make, so now too. Did you try to make a mixed integer programming model that can be solved by integer programming?
Yes. We also intend to do that in future work, although it is a very difficult problem to model.
Of course, but it's good to see to observe the complexity by solving realistic problems and see how far we can get. So that was
Yes, that is.
I think I made this remark already before at the beginning of the year, so that's good.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. I forgot to say when I say that the ignitions, the problem is randomly generated. The travel times are based on triangular inequality. So
yeah, that's what I mean. They are not so random, no. So we have this information.
It's not sounding well.
So random.
It's so random. Oh yes. But the idea is some ignitions have burn more quickly than others also.
Mhm.
So
Thanks,
thank
guys.
you. Any remarks? Now, the next speaker is the next one. Can you stop sharing this? And stop sharing this? Okay. Now the next one. No, the second one. You can stop that one.
Okay, where is it? Oh, because
Let me try. No. Okay. Hello. The next speaker is Humberto Rocha. He will talk about a robust optimization for IMPT, introducing and comparing different automated approaches.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you all for being here and for the ones at home. The format is not exactly the same. This end should be here, at least in my computer. I hope it's the only thing that goes out of the original format. The subject of this talk is robust optimization for IMPT, and I will introduce and compare different automated approaches for this optimization problem. So the outline is the following. I will start by briefly describing the problem, then I will present the objectives, and then the methods we used. I'll present some computational results and conclusions. So briefly describing the problem. IMPT, what is IMPT? Intensity modulated proton therapy, which is a modern type of radiation therapy. But it's basically similar to the conventional radiation therapy with photons. And the objectives are the same. We want to kill cancer cells, but at the same time to spare the surrounding healthy organs and tissues. Similarly to photon radiotherapy or conventional radiotherapy, the patient is still immobilized on a couch that can rotate, and radiation beams are delivered around the patient using a gantry with a head that rotates along central axis. The rotation of both the couch and the gantry allows irradiation from almost any direction. So there's not much differences. Yes.
In the online, the presentation is not running.
It's not?
No.
Okay. The technician will solve the problem.
Is it?
I don't know. Probably she left because.
Não está sharing.
Não está
sharing. Start.
Deixa eu experimentar. Mas no modo de apresentação. No modo de apresentação.
Okay. Is it sharing now? No?
Use some this one. Not.
Oh, tira o modo de apresentação. Não, naquele. Tira aquilo e tira o modo de apresentação.
Ok, vou apresentar assim.
Okay, I will present this way. That's. Sorry, guys. So
Pode ir para a frente. Pode ir para a frente.
Our new technician solved the problem. And so this is the brief description of the problem. And so what are the objectives? So the main differences between proton and photon radiation therapy is related to the dose distribution. Here in this figure, we have the main differences, and we can see that a proton beam has a low entrance dose, and then suddenly we have a peak. It's called a break peak, and then the dose rapidly falls to zero. On the opposite, if we look at the red curve with photons, we have a high entrance dose, and then dose decreases all the way along the path. We can see here for a photon beam on the left-hand side and for a proton beam on the right-hand side, and the differences are clear. For a photon beam, we have a high entrance dose, and then the dose decays throughout the path, including to the PTV, to the tumor. While for protons, we have a low entrance dose, and then if we place the break peak inside the tumor, we have a high dose, and almost no dose after the tumor. So this is the main advantages of using protons. Obviously, in the left-hand side, in order to place enough dose inside the tumor, we need more photon beams, because if we place the photon beam centered at the tumor, we will have different paths, and they will converge to the tumor, and that's how we can manage to obtain more dose inside the tumor. While for protons, we can use a reduced number of beams, which is an advantage. So, in order to optimize the treatment plan, the first step is image acquisition. We need to take CT images of the patient. Then we can use some different softwares to build a 3D image or model of the patient, and then we can optimize using inverse optimization the treatment plan. Typically, the two problems we need to solve is the beam angle optimization problem, which is the problem of finding the best directions from which the patient should be irradiated. And the second problem is the fluence map optimization problem, which is the intensities for each of these directions. This is an iterative process, and we can assess the quality of each iteration by looking at a number of parameters and inspecting, for instance, dose volume histograms, which are represented here. We want that the tumor have 100% of the prescribed dose, and we have, or we want zero dose for the organs at risk. It's impossible because the dose need to traverse the tissues to reach the tumor, so we will end up with some dose, but hopefully a low dose for the remaining structures. So these are the typical steps of treatment planning optimization. But for this particular case, even knowing that protons is a very promising modality, we have to address a number of uncertainties. These uncertainties, some of them are common for different types of radiation therapy. The last two are specific to proton therapy. The first ones are related to the CTs. The CT needs to capture the density of the different structures, which is difficult. And the CTs are used for organ delineation. Typically, the medical doctor uses the CTs looking to the different tonalities of the CT to delineate the tumor and the surrounding organs at risk. But if we give the same CTs to different doctors, we will end up with different delineations. So there's another uncertainty. Another one is organ movements with breathing or other reasons. and the patient positioning. The patient moves, and ideally, the positioning of the patient should be exactly the same positioning of the first CT. So we have a number of uncertainties, but these are common to the conventional radiation therapy modalities. So why are they so decisive here with protons? For the reasons I explained before, we have a few number of beam directions, so the intensity is higher. So if we fail to place the brake peak inside the tumor, we will hit some vital structure, which is a problem. Furthermore, we have two uncertainties specific for protons. The proton beam range, which is the range that the brake peak will appear, and it's calculated based on the CT and the densities. And since there are uncertainties in the densities, we have uncertainties in the proton beam range. And the last uncertainty is related to this, is the biological effectiveness of this treatment, which is also related to this CT uncertainty. So, our objective is to compare two robust approaches that uses two different strategies. The first one is based on a set of auxiliary structures that we call clones, and are basically considering structures that are shifted from the original structure. So this will help us to construct scenarios for robust optimization. We will consider a number of clones for each of the original structures. The second approach is similar to the first one, but we will merge all these clones in a single structure, which is basically an augmented structure around the original structure. So we will solve these two different strategies, and for a proof of concept, we will use 5 prostate cancer cases, and then the quality of the treatment plans obtained with these two approaches will be assessed by Monte Carlo simulation. So we need to solve two different problems in order to optimize a plan. The first problem is the beam angle optimization problem, the problem of choosing the beam irradiation directions. And since we are dealing with prostate cancer cases, and for protons, we only use typically two directions, we choose not to optimize the direction and use the commonly used directions, which are two parallel opposed directions. So we will only optimize for each of these beams the intensities of the beams, and we will use a quadratic function, and the quadratic function has some parameters, including those restrictions that are given in this table by the medical doctor, and a number of parameters or weights that relates to the importance of the different structures. We will optimize this in an automated way using a few fuzzy inference systems that we proposed in the previous work. So for each of the treatment plans and for each of the scenarios built, we will optimize resorting to this in an automated way for several reasons, because the number of plans to optimize is very large, and for another reason, for consistency. So that's the way we optimize the different treatment plans. Explaining a little bit more the differences between the clones and the enlarged or pseudo structures. In the left-hand side, we have several shifts of the original structures, and they are obtained by shifting in each direction, in the x-axis, in the y, in the z, and in the diagonal. So we will consider for each structure 14 clones. Here in the left-hand side, we have some of these clones illustrated. In the right-hand side, we have pseudostructures, which is enlarged structures that are built based on the union of all these clones. Okay, so these are two different approaches trying to build a robust plan. So, summing all this up, we will plan treatment plans for protons, considering only two angles. The RPE is constant, and we have two strategies, one with clones and another with pseudostructures or enlarged structures. And for each of those, we will consider shifts of 3 millimeters and of 6 millimeters. Then, the plan quality of each of these approaches will be assessed by Monte Carlo simulation. And in Monte Carlo simulation, we will consider that the uncertainties in terms of patient positioning is up to 5 millimeters, and the proton beam range uncertainties is up to 3.5%. We will generate 100 scenarios, and this is important. We will consider 34 fractions. Why? This is another measure of robustness. When we plan a radiation therapy plan, the delivery is throughout a couple of weeks, 6, 7 weeks, one fraction each day. By doing this, we are performing a robust approach, because if the error in one day is in one direction, in another day, it's probably in another direction. So summing all up, the errors diminish. Okay. So the results. In this figure, we have the results for the 100 scenarios or the 100 simulations, and we display here in the left-hand side the deviations for the clones obtained with 6 millimeters shifts. And in the right-hand side, we have the results for the clones with 3 millimeter shifts. In terms of robustness, the bandwidth is the key element to look at. And we can see that the different structures have similar bandwidths except one. If we look to the tumor, which is the blue one, we see that the 6 millimeter approach has a thinner bandwidth than the 3 millimeter approach. So we have the structure that is most decisive in this plan, in this treatment plan, obviously is the tumor, because that's what we want to eradicate. So the 6 millimeter approach is more robust than the 3 millimeter approach. This is very small. I hope I have an enlarged screen, but in the left-hand side we have histograms of the 100 scenarios for all the 5 patients, and we have a vertical line that is the minimum dose prescribed by the medical doctor, and we can see that for the 6 millimeter, that vertical line or the dose is higher than that minimum threshold. And for the 3 millimeters, for some cases, we fail that. So in terms of tumor coverage, the 6 millimeter approaches fulfills in every scenario the tumor coverage, while the 3 millimeter approach fails sometimes. In terms of organ sparing, I only display here the most difficult organ to spare, which is the rectum. And we also have a vertical line. And in this case, it's the opposite. We want the dose to be less than the vertical line, which is the maximum threshold defined by the medical doctor. And we can see that although the different approaches manage to fulfill this requirement, we see that the 6 millimeter approach has more dose in the rectum than the 3 millimeter approach. So the 3 millimeter approach is better in sparing the rectum than the 6 millimeter approach. But this makes sense, because if we irradiate better the tumor, the trade-off is simple. If we irradiate better, the dose also goes through the structures in the neighborhood. So looking at the trade-off between fulfilling the tumor irradiation and sparing the organs at risk, we see that the 6 millimeter approach, and in particular, it's very small, in particular for the clones, is better. Here I display, it's very small, I cannot read, all the cases, and I display the mean dose and the standard deviation. The mean dose is important for the quality of the treatment, but the standard deviation is important for the robustness. But in that pictures, we have this information as well. So in terms of conclusions, proton therapy is a very promising approach, but it suffers from several uncertainties. The main thing to extract from this work is that it is possible to include robustness in this treatment plan if we automate the optimization. That's what we have done. Another thing that is important is that we need a margin, regardless of being clones or a single structure, a margin of 6 millimeters. The 6 millimeter strategy was one that fulfilled our requirements all the time. So I would like to acknowledge the funding and thank you.
Any question? Any remark? I will ask. Show me the two figures that you talked about.
This one?
This one.
Okay.
So you only talked about the blue line,
blue one.
but the cross of the is not in the same places for the two pictures. Can you explain?
Sorry,
The cross of the lines are not
Yeah.
the same because the green one is lower,
Yes.
much lower on the big
Okay.
figure B. What
I
does
will
it mean?
explain this figure a little bit more. This is a DVH, dose volume histogram. How should we read this? This is 100, I don't see, but I imagine it's 100, and this is dose. For the tumor, we want that 100% of the tumor receives the dose, okay? 100% of the tumor receives 40 grays and so on, but when we reach the prescription, it goes to 0. So this is good. But I am also interested in the thickness, meaning that here, for some of the scenarios, we don't reach the 75. We start to decay before, okay? So meaning that some parts of the tumor are not being covered. Because, for instance, 70 grays are given to 100% of the tumor, but 75 is only to, I don't know, 90 something. So there's parts of the tumors that are not fully covered. And this is the most important because the goal is to eliminate the tumor. Here, it's also important because we want to preserve the organs and tissues as much as we can. But we need to look at the maximum doses and medium doses. And if we look to the worst case scenario, the worst curve fulfills. How do I know that? Because I explain it here. Okay? In the worst case, I have the guarantee of having all the tissues and the organs spared. Okay, so here, regardless of the thickness of these DVHs, they all fulfill the medium dose and the maximum dose for those structures. So the main thing is here, is the sensitivity.
Thank you. I don't know if there is any question online. No?
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I am the speaker again. You that are online, are you hearing us? Well, yes? Okay, thank you. The last one, the first one. If it is not, it starts changing. I prefer to use like the other one. No, it's okay. It's okay. No. Humberto, pode avançar?
Não está.
Não está?
É PowerPoint.
É PowerPoint.
Não, olha, não mudes de ecrã. PowerPoint, não mudes de ecrã.
E agora?
Tá.
Okay. Now I will talk about a simulation-based optimization approach to the firefighting resource scheduling problem. So the problem is similar to the last one that I presented, but is not described as the same way, because it was the first presentation was a dispatch problem, and now it's a scheduling problem. This is a work with a joint work with Emerson from Brazil, that is a PhD, a postdoc student, and a PhD student from Portugal. And this is the summary of the presentation. So I will make an introduction, then show the simulation-based approach, the description of the problem, the simulation models, some results, and some conclusions. So in the last years, so in this period, in the last 7 years, the forest fires have been controlled in these countries, and if they are not rapidly contained, they are improving as longer as the time is passing. So for these countries, especially in Portugal in 2017, it was a disaster, a great fire with lots of deaths, unfortunately. So it is necessary to find solutions to improve the fight against forest fires, and also to reduce the damage caused. Optimization is one area that is being used to help in decision making process to reduce the impact of the fire. So one way is to find the best trajectory and location of the vehicles, of the firefighting vehicles, also obtaining the shortest route to the fires, also determine the number of resources, and so on. This is the simulation-based approach. So we have a meteoristic, in this case the genetic algorithm, and that will talk with a simulator, with a discrete event simulator. So we will use an adapted GA to maximize the total unburned area and find the sequence of actions, so the sequence of ignitions that the resources should go in order to maximize the unburned area. So the solution found by GA is then tested in the simulator that is developed by Flexim software. Okay, maybe too much. Okay, just one time. So this is the problem description. So the simulation-based approach the goal of the simulation-based approach is to determine the scheduling of the solution of one forest firefighting resource to combat several ignitions and under uncertain parameters. Here we can see the ignitions that are 10 ignitions from 1 to 10, and one fire station here, rectangle, a blue rectangle, and we have a fire truck that should go to combat all the ignitions. We want to know what is the sequence of ignitions that the fire truck should get to in order to maximize the unburned area. So this is the total area of the ignitions is this one, and the routes were generated by geographic information system. When we use the GA in the optimization model, we obtain this optimal scheduling. So the fire truck goes from the fire station, then goes to fire 5, to ignition 5, then ignition 9, and so on and so on. This and the travel time to each ignition is given by this table. The values of the travel time between each ignition. Then we gave the solution obtained by GA to the simulator. You can see here. Okay, this is the fire truck that is going to each ignition, and here you can see that they have a processing time, not only the traveling time between ignitions, but also the processing time, that is the time combating each ignition. And after validating and comparing the model, so this is the model obtained by GA, that was a paper published here in the ICCSA, and the values obtained by the simulation model are here. They are there is a little difference between the unburned area, the travel, and the process. The processing time is the same, but the other values are slightly different, because here we use the GIS travel times. The routes were given, the values of the travel time are real. Okay. This is the flow chart of the process. So we run the algorithm, that we have the optimal schedule obtained by GA. Then we give these values to the simulator, the FlexSim simulator, and run this simulation 30 replications. Then we have the output data, and then we give again to the optimization GA. We add some uncertainty in the travel time and also in the process time. Here we can see the values for the values given for each ignition, okay, for each fire, and the processing time was like this for each replication. And here we can see the travel time and the unburned area, and we can see that these values are not correlated. So here we gave probability distributions for the process time. These are the results. So this is the deterministic model, and then we say that is the reference model. That is the model that the solution model given by the GA. We got here this value of unburned area and the travel time and so on. These are the other values. And after giving this solution to the discrete event simulator, we obtained the same scheduling, okay, but a slightly difference in the unburned area. Here we had already some uncertainty in the travel time and processing time. That's why the unburned area is increasing. And these are the 6 runs that the 6 iterations, you can say like this, that the solutions that we obtain for each one. I think the first one is the more important, because the other solutions have uncertainty over other uncertainty. The travel time, the uncertainty in the process time could be lower or greater than the value that was given in the first reference, but the travel time could not be lower than that. Okay? The certainty is always greater than the value that was given for the reference time. Okay, so here we proposed a simulation-based optimization approach to obtain the schedule that for combating 10 ignitions. We only had one resource. We first applied the genetic algorithm and then the FlexSim software to simulate the solution obtained. Then we had some uncertainty to the travel time and to the process time, and we made 6 experimental runs. So we concluded that that considering the uncertainty in travel time and processing time, the original scaling showed the most significant result that maximized the unburned area. This is a reference of the first this is the reference of the reference value for the solution of the scheduling, and thank you very much. I don't know if we have here some.
One question. Following the previous presentation, was it possible to sketch some robust approach for this? Instead of a simulation-based, robust approach for your uncertainties?
I don't know. I don't know. Do you have any suggestion?
I do. Because in a real case scenario, you don't have what's going to happen. In a simulation you have. In a real case, you don't have. So it would be interesting to have different scenarios and to optimize all these scenarios, and then you have the solution for a close case to the real one.
Okay. I think it's interesting. So you have a bad scenario.
Yes,
okay.
yes. Yeah, you could do a worst case scenario, or there are different approaches, but a robust approach would be nice, I think.
Yes. Yes. Good. Thank you. Any more questions? Yes.
Yeah, I think what Umberto says has to do with anticipation. Now, if you know what's going to happen, you can do something with it. So if you first generate the random things and then you make a plan that's different than a dynamic stochastic environment, no? I think that's what Umberto referred to, and this is an interesting remark. At least I didn't think about it, because I was very impressed or pleased with the approach that we combine the simulation, real-time simulation with optimization. But I think that Umberto is right in the sense that you cannot anticipate what's going to happen. So just to make a remark on that.
Okay, thank you. Any more remarks?
Just not a question, details. But in the simulation, when the truck goes to the first fire, not to fight, the situation will change, no? During the travel time and the intervention time. Because probably the fire moves, no? Moves on. It's included in the scenario analysis or not?
Yes, we have the scheduling along the time. So we know how much unburned area is or how much burned area along the time.
Okay. Just
Any more remarks? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, there are some virtual. Now the next one is
Francisca Santana Ribeiro.
It's online.
it's online, yes.
Francisca.
Ana Ribeiro, maybe. Francisca. This one.
Yes, she has to.
Francisca, you have to share your presentation. Francisca, tens de partilhar a aplicação. Or maybe we go to the next, to Ana Teixeira, Ana Paula. Maybe you can start. Please open the microphone. Francisca and Ana Paula, if you can open. No? Ana Paula? Okay.
This Teixeira that is going to present.
Share your presentation, please. Let's see. Because if you share, you can prove that. Yes. So Anna, can you start sharing, please? So we will go to the last speaker.
No, Ana. Hello?
Beatriz Teixeira hello. Beatriz Teixeira is the one who is going to present our presentation. She's here. Can you please call for
It's not
her?
here.
Yes.
Beatriz Teixeira. Okay.
Yes, she is
Yeah,
going.
it says we just having little troubles to share the presentation.
You can start and then share. Okay, to share you go to this. Okay, are you seeing this one? This button? Starts. Okay,
Yes.
okay. So
Yes.
this is Beatriz Teixeira will start talking about enhancing medical imaging through data augmentation, a review. Thank you, Beatriz. You can start, please.
So good morning, everyone. Our work will be presented by me, Beatriz Teixeira, and my colleague Gonçalo Pinto. Our topic is enhancing medical imaging through data augmentation, a review. In this presentation, we'll give you a contextualization of what data augmentation is, what is needed for, and the challenges in implementing it. Next, we will present a systematic review on the subject and its results. Finally, we will integrate data augmentation into the world of medical imaging. In the field of medical imaging and data augmentation, supervised learning plays a crucial role in automating the analysis of complex medical images. The effectiveness of these models relies on large and diverse datasets, allowing them to recognize subtle patterns in medical conditions for better classification and diagnosis. Selecting the right algorithm is crucial, considering the unique objectives of each algorithm in analyzing medical images. Rigorous performance evaluation, measured by metrics such as accuracy and sensitivity, assures the reliability of these algorithms. Dividing the data set into training and test sets is essential for training and evaluating the model. There are few medical images due to some rare diseases and patient privacy, giving the need to create images through artificial intelligence. Due to the lack of medical images, several AI algorithms have been developed to create larger image databases. As a result, several articles have been published, and we decided to look for those that the best fit our team. The main goal of the work is to review articles that provide a comprehensive overview of data augmentation techniques applied to medical images, as well as to review the literature on the use of GANs to generate synthetic image and incorporate this image into training datasets. The next step is to address these challenges in creating medical datasets, evaluating the impact of these types of techniques, and exploring future opportunities for research and development. For that, a systematic review was done to explore the application of data generation techniques in the field of medical image analysis. The initial phase involved choosing the keywords data generation and medical image. The only database it used was Scopus, and to search in this database, it is necessary to adapt the keywords with logical operators such as and ampersand to make the search more precise. The process began with the identification of relevant articles within a specific domain using a thematic approach that includes titles, abstracts, and keywords, obtaining 3,498 articles. After this, the screening phase restricted the set of articles based on criteria such as year of publication between 2020 and 2024, total accessibility, and English language, obtaining 396 articles from the initial ones. Next, the eligibility assessment involves a superficial review of the abstracts and the main body of the articles, excluding those that are not relevant to medical imaging, leaving 173 articles. In addition, a complementary review ensures alignment with the engineering area, reducing the number of articles to 80. Finally, in the inclusion phase, all the articles were read to identify those that deal with guns in the context of medical imaging, resulting in a total of 23 articles. In order to present results, we decided to organize the articles by year of publication and country of origin. Of these 23 articles, 2 articles are from 2020, 4 articles are from 2021, 10 articles are from 2022, and 7 articles are from 2023.
Distribution of articles and content show that Europe includes the highest percentage accounting for 50% of the total. Asia then accounts for 20% of articles, while Africa and America contributes 10%. From the graph, we can see that China was the country with most articles published. 4 countries published 4 articles, 5 countries 2 articles, and 10 only 1. As our graphic representation vividly illustrates the mix of different voices from different regions creates a mosaic of knowledge. Image data augmentation is a crucial aspect for improving the robustness of machine learning models, particularly in deep learning applications. Various approaches are used, including advanced techniques such as GAN data augmentation and neural style transfer, which contribute to generation of realistic images. Basic image manipulations such as image blending and color space transformations provide fundamental augmentation methods. The overall goal is to diversify the examples in the dataset while preserving the essential features and ultimately increasing the size of the dataset. This augmentation process enhances the models with a higher range of training instance, leading to better generalization and performance. Of the 23 articles selected in systematic review, 9 deal with application of general algorithms and 14 deal with algorithms aimed at specific organs of the human body. The general algorithms exploit techniques that allow the segmentation of image into different classes with a limited number of training examples, use deep generative adversarial networks (DCGAN) to create a realistic image and enhance datasets, and allow the improvement of clinical results and diagnostic efficiency through the integration of advanced machine learning techniques. Specific organs algorithms can cover, among many others, specific techniques for brain images such as MRIs and CTs, from segmentation of tumors, generation of brain images, validation with neurosurgeons, improvement of MRI data, optimization of a diagnosis. Techniques for chest X-rays and CTs, and techniques for cardiac image such as ultrasound and MRIs. General algorithms can be applied to a wide variety of medical images and diagnostic problems, reduce the need of develop specific algorithms for each type of images, have standardized principles and techniques for different types of data, easily adaptable of new types of data or problems. However, they may not capture specific organs details and as well as specialized algorithms. And how true they perform well. There is a greater probability of error in specific areas. Specific organs algorithms require more resources to develop specific algorithms for each organ, requiring adjustment and customization for each type of organ. They are designed to capture critical details and metrics for accurate diagnosis, are more effective at personalizing diagnosis and treatments, and are less likely to make diagnostic errors in critical areas. In conclusion, while general algorithms offer versatility, resource savings, and ease of implementation in various areas of medical imaging, specific organs algorithms stand out for their precision, specialization, and better performance in detecting anomalies and are essential for detailed and personalized diagnosis that meet the clinical needs of specific areas, thus ensuring a balanced and effective approach to the advancement of diagnostic image technologies. GANs present a 56.5% of articles stand out for its ability to generate highly realistic data. This technique employs two neural networks, a generator responsible for creating data and a discriminator with the aim of differentiating between real and generated data. Neural style transfer, on the other hand, is found in 43.5% of the articles and focuses on combining the content of one image with style of another. Unlike GANs, neural style transfer does not involve adverse training. Instead, it optimizes the input image to obtain the desired fusion of the content and style. These two approaches represent distinct methodologies within the higher landscape of image processing, responding to different objectives and applications. In summary, applying data augmentation techniques to medical datasets offers significant advantages. It increases the breadth of dataset, consolidates the models, and avoids overfitting. In addition, the approach is effective in training on rare medical cases, increasing overall robustness. However, privacy issues must be carefully addressed. The manipulation of augmentation of sensitive medical data requires guarantees to that patient confidentiality is maintained, and that the synthetic data generated does not compromise the privacy of individuals. Looking to the future, it is promising for the generation of more realistic synthetic data for the expansion of 3D data, such as obtained from CT scans and MRI scans, opens new possibilities for the creation of models that better understand the complexity of human anatomical structures and for integration with new technologies marking advances in the field of medicine. Thank you.
Thank you, Beatriz and Gonçalo. Any question or remark? I don't know online if there is any question or remark. No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know the speaker that we skip is now again, is facing some problems of sound. Francisca, can you try to, are you hearing us now? You can share your session, your presentation, please.
Yeah. Hello, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Can you
Good.
share your presentation, please?
Yeah, of course. So 1 minute. So I will try and hope that it works.
Okay, this button.
Parece o festival da canção.
Huh?
Parece o festival da canção. Conseguem ouvir?
Because she's at the mobile
Oh.
talking, and now we'll present on share in the computer. Okay, Francisca.
Yeah, I will try now. So can you see?
No.
No. You started sharing, but
You can't see.
we are not seeing anything.
So I don't know what is the problem because I can see. Okay.
Put this button, start sharing. Did you put like this, start sharing, and then choose the window with your presentation, okay?
Yeah.
Choose entire screen para ter as duas modos.
And now, can you see?
It seems like yes, or just come.
Change. No.
No. Now you are not. We are not seeing it.
What are you see?
We are not seeing anything. We are seeing people in the room.
I see the people.
The people online.
So
Try the button and the entire screen.
Now, okay, something is happened.
Mas se calhar no telemóvel não dá.
Mas ela estava a partilhar no computador.
Ah.
Estás a partilhar no computador?
Yes, and it's okay now?
Não. Sei
No?
isto. Vai lá outra vez.
Sharing. It's sharing that now turn off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you? What are you see?
No.
Nothing.
Sharing.
This is
window.
Karina. Francisca,
Yeah.
maybe I can try to share and you present and I change the slides, okay?
Okay,
I will
thank you,
try.
and I'm sorry.
Karina is a
supervisor.
Is a co-author. Okay. Okay. Now, digitalization of restrictions for assigning workstation. It's a work from Francisca Santos, Ana Ribeiro, and Karina Pimenta.
Full screen.
Karina, if you want, you can put full screen. It's better. This button. Yes.
It's okay now?
Yes.
No.
Now put it full screen. Yes, this one. Yes.
Mas não consigo. Tem que estar o entire screen partilhado.
Okay, that's okay. You can start, Francisca.
Yeah, but the teacher can slow down the notes if it's better and see the ecran bigger.
I'm trying, but it's not. Okay. Maybe it's okay now.
No, you should increase the.
Yeah, you can go up with the mouse and puxar para baixo de cursor. Professora, quando faz no Excel o esticar e encolher as células, exato. Boa.
It's okay now.
Okay. Hello everyone and sorry for these issues. My name is Francisca and today I will present an article about digitalization of restrictions for assigning workstations. This work is part of my master's program at Universidade do Minho and has been developed through a collaborative effort involving the teacher Ana Ribeiro, the teacher Karina Pimentel and myself. Firstly, I will present, can pass the slide, please? Firstly, I will present the introduction and project context. Then I will outline the objective. Next, I will discuss the diagnosis. Following that, I will present the improvement proposals. Afterward, I will share the main results. And finally, I will conclude with the final remarks. This project becomes often applied research developed at Bosch Thermotechnology in the field of digitalization. The problem is related to human resource assignment, leveraging digitalization and optimizing the process. The need comes from the expected growth of Bosch, such as new production line and consequently the hiring of new workers. The research approach used to achieve the project goals was the action research. The aim of this research was the development of Bosch internal platform, named Skillinks, through a low-code application. With this platform, we want to improve the worker's assignment to workstation that compiles data about ergonomic limitations, skills, and availability, assign workers based on data and facts, provide high transparency regarding worker situations, including skills and ergonomic limitations, and boost productivity by allowing workers be more flexible, and decrease the capacity needed to plan and assign workers, and measure the full-time equivalent indicator. The current situation at Bosch is defined by a manual process that carries a high risk to assigning workers without the required training level and assigning workers with ergonomic limitations for a given workstation. There is a significant amount of time spent by those responsible for the assignment, and through brainstorming sessions, it was possible to compile the requirements needed to develop and consequently improve this process. The requirements defined to digitalize the assignment process were: the first requirement, training support. Due to the line dimension and the fluctuation of workers, it is important to digitalize this part. The second requirement, the ergonomics evaluation, the representation of ergonomic limitations per worker. We should develop a tool that allows to map operations and workstations that each worker has already done and develop a matrix of competencies that support the rotation. And then the final requirement is to make it possible to make change quickly and easily in the process, whether it is the change of reference or a change of tasks. This change should be easily perceived by workers. Now it's possible to see the future worker assignment flowchart. This process begins with the need to assign a worker to a workstation, then should be do the automatic assign through the Skillinks platform. Then we will ask if is there any workstation without worker. If the answer is no, we can save the assignment and the process ends. But if the answer is yes, we should select workstation that has no worker, then choose a worker with the requirements to the workstation, and finally assign a worker to the workstation, and the process ends. Here it is a representation of the Bosch internal platform, the Skillinks, and this platform has 6 main modules: the module workstation, the skills requirement at workstation level, organizational modules, the machine interface, the worker skills, and worker physical evaluation. The relevant modules for this research are the workstation, because it's responsible for the ergonomic evaluation and the digital working instructions, the skills requirement at workstation level, because it allows to roles and skills definition and the chemical handling. And the final module is worker skills, that is responsible for skills management, endorsements, and role definition required from workers. The development of worker assignment module was done through a low-code application, and the aim of this module was to reduce time and errors of work assignment to the workstation. This module allows managers to access which workers are most suitable for a specific workstation, considering the skills level required to operate them, as well as the mask evaluation. That means a risk assessment methodology by corporal zone. Here it is possible to see the interface of work assignment module. On the left side are the worker fields, and on the right side, the field related to the workstations. Next, in this slide, we can see the outcome of the worker and workstation match, and this includes the following fields: the name, or the worker name, the assigned workstation, the plant check-in, workstation check-in, rotation scheme, skills, and actions. These fields can be fulfilled in an automatic way or manually. In the first line, we can see one worker was assigned to the workstation 260. Through the plant check-in, we can conclude that the worker is at the factory, and through the workstation check-in, we can see which workstation the worker was done the check-in. The rotation scheme refers if the worker has the required ergonomic conditions to operate the workstation, and then the skills gives the information if the worker has the training skills required to the workstation. Now, in the main results, I will highlight the key finds and the outcomes that emerge from our research. Here, it has been possible to go from an empirical based process to a data driven one, achievement of an improved assignment, a reduction in the necessary capacity expressed in full time equivalent. So the measurement of the key performance is based on dividing the worked hours by the total weekly hours. We tracked this indicator through three measures: one for each stakeholder involvement in the assignment process, which includes the area manager, the team leader, and the shift supervisor. An A3 problem-solving report was created to demonstrate the project's advancement throughout the whole organization. As a final remarks, I will summarize the key points of our discussion and provide some conclusions. So first, the large number of workers who need to be assigned made it necessary to create a platform that would optimize and fact-check the process, accounting to ergonomic settings and workers' training. Then, the creation of the low-code application encouraged accountability and trust among others, while also reducing the workload of those in charge of assignments. As a future work, it may involve acquiring mobile devices that can support the process. Thank you for your attention, and now I can answer questions, comments. I'm now available. Thank you.
Thank you, Francisca. Any questions or remarks? No remarks? This solution has already been implemented in Bosch.
Yeah, to the new production line, it was implemented and used. Yeah.
So, any news from the results?
No, now I leave Bosch and I don't have contact in the real time.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Any questions? Any more remarks? No? If no, let's thanks again, Francisca.
Thank you.
Francisca and Karina. Thank you. It was the last speaker of this first session of computational optimization and applications. So thank you all for attending this session in virtual or in presence. Thank you all, and see you about 20 minutes in another session of this workshop. Thank you.
Deixa-nos experimentar aqui uma coisa.
Okay. Let's go for coffee. Yes. I don't know if we have coffee here.
It's tea.
It's tea. Tea time. Tea time here. Okay. So it's really morning here. Yeah.
We wish some coffee.
Here is after lunch. Okay. You need coffee? I don't drink coffee now.
Okay, I'll see you later. No, we have to log in again, no?
Now 20 minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Ana, podemos experimentar aqui a tua apresentação? Não, é aqui. É como se tu estivesse a apresentar online. Vai ver.
Não fechas.
Não fecha, Ana.
Quem está aqui no chat?
Ana, não
Put the
fecha.
PPT in presentation mode.
Vai, Ana.
Let's go for coffee.
Não estou em nada para
Coffee. Deixa-nos coffee. Aqui é um break.
Deixa-nos experimentar.
Vai, experimenta se quiser, eu não vou sair. It's coffee break now? Ok, let's go. Acho que sim.
Não, mas ela se calhar não está a
Okay,
partilhar.
who will be
Deixar de
right
partilhar.
for the next session?
Yes, we are again.
Because it's all virtual.
Yes.
Yes,
We are
it's all
trying
virtual.
some experiments.
Some experiments if it works. Ana, põe ali o share.
Can you share?
Já percebi,
Thank you.
Já percebeste?
Thank you.
Saiu
In
daí,
English
não é?
and Portuguese.
Saiu daí, saiu daí.
Ok, nós estamos online. Estamos a tentar.
But we can mute, no?
Okay, so good afternoon or good morning, it depends. So let's start with the second session of this COA workshop. And the next presenter is Adriano, is that correct?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So Adriano, you can share your presentation clicking on this button and then selecting full screen or entire screen.
Okay, I believe you can already see my presentation. Can you confirm?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So, good afternoon. My name is Adriano Silva. I'm a PhD student at the University of Porto, and I'm also a researcher at the Research Center in Digitalization and Intelligent Robotics. And today I will present my work that is related to exploring time windows and travel times to solve the capacitated waste collection problem. So this presentation will be divided into the following contents, in which I will begin speaking about motivation for the work. Then I will move to the objectives, the methodology, the results, the conclusions, and then finally the future work. So by 2050, most population content will be concentrated in cities, which will put under pressure the systems that offers basic services to the citizens, such as the municipal solid waste management system. In this scenario, smarter and more sustainable solutions will be required to avoid situations such as this one represented in here, in which you can see the waste accumulated on the dumpster. So the scenario for the waste generation is this one shown in here for Europe and Portugal in 2020. As a matter of comparison, we can see that in Europe, around 6% of the total waste generated was coming from the municipal source. In Portugal, this value is close to 32%, which is one of the highest among the member states in the European Union. When we look to the record of data regarding the municipal solid waste generation, we can also observe that the scenario is concerning for Portugal, because we can see an increase of around 46% for Portugal compared to 8% for the average of the European Union. Now, all of this waste will be managed by the municipal solid waste management system. The system is complex and divided into several steps as represented in here. In this system, one particular task is responsible for around 60% of the total operational cost in most cases. And here I'm talking about the waste collection operation that is performed traditionally in most cases. In these scenarios, we have the drivers deciding where the truck will go. We have also some cases in which predetermined routes will be followed, which can lead to traveling to empty or near empty dumpsters. We also have the situation of unknown amount of waste in the dumpsters. So the whole scenario is illustrated by unnecessary expenditure of both time and fuel. So this problem was already recognized in the literature for a long time ago and has been studied since then. And most often the authors apply the theories of vehicle routing problem to solve the waste collection problem. So when we look in the literature for solutions or works dealing with municipal solid waste collection optimization, we can find some niches of works. For example, we have a lot of authors devoted to exploring the development of new optimization algorithms to solve the problem. And here you can think about a genetic algorithm. You can also think about meta-heuristic algorithms and also some heuristics. We also have some authors devoted to exploring the study of new waste collection formulations or approaches. In this case, they're trying to increase the problem complexity towards closeness to the real scenario, considering other constraints to the problem, adding time windows, capacity of the trucks, evaluating the utilization of heterogeneous fleets, and so on. And we also have some other authors devoted to using physical structures in the system, installing sensors in the dumpsters and also in the trucks to have access to a real-time information regarding the waste level inside the dumpsters. And then they can use this information to optimize the waste collection task. Despite the interesting work performed so far regarding the waste collection optimization, there are several aspects that can be explored to further understand how we can bring the solution from the optimized scenario and the computer to the real scenario. For example, if you think about the time windows, most cases the authors use a time window that is fixed for commercial times, for example, going from 9 to 5 p.m., without considering the driver's need to stop for lunch or even for a coffee in the afternoon. And we also have several papers now mentioning how they get the travel times. The travel time is important parameter when you think about the time window considering in the route optimization. So in this situation, in this scenario, we have tried to understand what is the influence of travel times and time windows to solve the capacitated waste collection problem with time windows. So to do that, we have considered a system comprised of 50 locations, and each location has a set of 3 dumpsters. Why 3 dumpsters? Because we're considering the recycling system, the selective collection of waste. So we have one dumpster for paper waste, we have another one for plastic waste, and we also have another one for glass waste. Now, we have tried to optimize the waste collection task in this scenario by considering 4 illustrated and simulated situations. The first one, we have used just the regular commercial time windows for the waste collection from sorry, someone said something? Oh no, okay. So going from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and using just the regular travel times, the one you obtain when you use any API, so the time for a car to travel from point A to point B. The second scenario, we have used the commercial time windows as well, but we have added the adjusted travel time. So by consulting the literature, we were able to convert the travel time for a car or a truck to illustrate a situation closer to the real one. So the third scenario, we have lunch and rest time windows. So the truck will already stop for lunch for 1 hour and will also stop in the afternoon for a coffee break, also for 1 hour. So in the last scenario, we have the lunch and rest time windows, and we also have the adjusted travel times. Just for you to have a glance, the highest difference in here is between the first and the last scenario. In the first one, we have no considerations at all. And the last one, we already have some considerations to increase the feasibility of the execution of this solution in here. So for methodology, what happens is that this work was performed in the model region of Bragança. That is a city located in the northeast region of Portugal. In this city, the system responsible for the waste collection is Resíduos do Nordeste, that is covering currently 13 municipalities, 134,000 citizens, with a waste generation of around 58,000 tons per year. From all of this waste generated, around 8% is coming from the selective collection of waste, and from the content collected selectively, 27% is coming from Bragança. So Bragança plays a significant role in this system. The thing is, in order to optimize the waste collection task, we need the information regarding the amount of waste inside the dumpsters daily. And this information is surely not provided by the company, so we had to come up with a model to generate the waste levels through the days for each waste type. So here I have the representation of 20 of the 50 locations selected in this study. And to perform the waste generation, we have consulted the literature, and we found out that there is an important parameter that is very important for the waste generation. In this case, the parameter is the demographic factor. So the demographic factor is calculated by considering a circle of 300 meters radius around the dumpster, the location of the dumpster. Then we have to find what is the populated area just by selecting where you have buildings, for example. So you just need to divide the area of the building you selected in this region by the total area of the circle. So you have the value that is going from 0 to 1, 1 for regions more populated, and 0 for regions where you don't have a lot of population. So this parameter has a different influence for the generation of each waste type. And consulting the literature, we were able to come up with this model, this very simple model in which we have that the daily level L of waste and dumpster E for the F and waste type T will be just the multiplication of the demographic factor by the demographic factor influence that is a constant different for each waste type, and we multiply this value by the stochastic behavior. There is a parameter, a random function that is running daily for each waste type, returning values from 1 to 20. So this parameter was considered in this work because the waste generation is not static. The waste generation is in fact stochastic. So we wanted to introduce some stochasticity in the model. So this is why we used this parameter in here. So once we have the waste levels, we just need to multiply by the total volume of the dumpster, and we have the volumetric amount of waste inside each dumpster through the days. So just a quick reminder again of the scenarios. This is really the focus of the paper, the different scenarios we have, and the optimization we obtained in each one of them. The first one, we don't have no stops, no lunch, no break, and also we don't have the adjusted travel times. The second one, we already have the adjusted travel times, but we don't have no stops. The third one, we have the breaks for both lunch and coffee, and we don't have the adjusted travel time. And the last one, we have everything. The last one is the scenario that would be more feasible, in which we consider the truck stopping for both lunch and coffee time, and also we have a travel time that is more consistent with the truck traveling to perform the waste collection. So before presenting to you the results, remembering again, 50 locations, each location, 3 dumpsters. We have a total of 50 dumpsters per waste type, a total of 150 dumpsters in the system. So the study was performed for 30 days. We have trucks with capacity of 16 cubic meters and dumpsters with 2.5 cubic meters, and this information was actually provided by the company in charge of the system. And we used distance matrix to obtain the distances between the points. So the distances are not Euclidean, the distances are real. There's another thing that I forgot to add in here, is that the ratio of dumpsters per truck that we considered to determine the number of trucks for the collection was based on the real scenario as well. And the company provided that the truck will only collect one waste type. So the same truck collecting paper will not collect glass or plastic. It's only collecting paper. So for the results, we can see that in here, PA is for paper, G is for glass, and PL is for plastic. Our truck in the first scenario is traveling more to collect plastics compared to the other two. And this actually makes sense when you look to the waste generation models. But this is not important in here right now. So the same tendency was observed for all of the 4 scenarios, but what I really want to highlight in here is the comparison between all of the 4 scenarios. So we have in here, in the first scenario, the ideal one, a distance of around 47 for paper, 43 for glass, and 53 kilometers. And one more thing, I don't know if I mentioned, but this is the total distance to collect the waste during the 30 days. So if we compare this first result in here with the last scenario, the one more feasible, we can see that actually we had a reduction of the distances traveled. And here we're considering the same situation, the same waste generated through the days, same everything. The only thing that is different is the scenario, the situation. So in the last case, when we consider a time window that is stricter, when you have less time to perform the collection, we had smaller distances. And we believe this happened because of the algorithm nature, guided local search operates better under stress. So when we reduce the time window, the algorithm was able to find an optimized solution compared to the ideal scenario. Another thing that is interesting to observe is that the travel time did not impact it significantly in the distance travel. The only thing we can observe is a slightly increase when you consider the adjusted travel time instead of the regular travel time. And this happens because the adjusted one, the truck will go slower. So the decision has to be a little different for the waste collection operation, but the impact is not so significant as the time window. So for the conclusion, as I already mentioned, the adjusted travel time did not reveal significant influence in the waste collection optimization using guided local search. The time windows impacted greatly in the route optimization. The tighter time windows returning the best results. And for future studies, other characteristics of the municipal solid waste collection could be explored in more detail to understand the influence of this parameter. For example, the system size, or even using optimized time windows selected based on each dancer in the system, and also the utilization of heterogeneous fleets to perform the waste collection can be considered. And also, I believe the same experiment performed in here could be repeated with a different data set to understand if the behavior of the algorithm will be consistent. Now, I would like to thank the financial support from both FCT and especially from Sociedade Ponto Verde. And thank you all for your attention. I hope you enjoyed the work. If you have any questions, please go ahead and ask.
Thank you, Adriano. Very nice talk. Any questions, remarks? So let's move on and thank again Adriano. And the second presentation, I think it's from Francisco.
Well, I recorded my. Yeah, hello. Yeah,
I will ask you to share your presentation by selecting this button and then selecting the entire screen.
Yeah, I recorded my presentation. I share.
Yeah, that's fine. So first you need to share your screen and then start your presentation. Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect. And you can start whenever.
Hello, my name is Francisco Santos. I'm a PhD student at the University of Maine Algorithm Research Center, Portugal. The topic that I'm going to address is multi-objective scheduling optimization in job shop with non-related parallel machine using NSGA tool. This is the outline of the presentation. Engineering often encounters scheduling problems that can be solved using multi-objective optimization algorithms. These algorithms can be used to solve optimization problems that improve two or more objectives simultaneously. This work presents a multi-objective optimization approach for the job shop scheduling problem. The main goal was to simultaneously minimize three objectives: total completion time of the jobs, the average completion time of the jobs, and the standard deviation of the total completion time of the jobs. It is assumed that all end machines are continuously available and that each machine I can only execute one job J at any given time. Furthermore, all end jobs are independent of one another and do not have any precedence restriction and are available to be processed at the initial instant. PAJ is the processing time for job J on machine I. SIJK is the setup time for job J after job K was being processed on machine I. And finally, SIJ0 is the initial setup time for processing job J on machine I. The objective is to find a set of feasible sequence of jobs that simultaneously minimize these three objectives. The test that was derived from previous research, we considered 50 instances with 2, 4, 6, and 8 machines and 9, 10, and 11 jobs. These algorithms were implemented by the Python framework in Python. A solution is represented by a chromosome with is a permutation of size m plus n minus 1. This is a sequence of integer values that can only occur once. This was the stop. This was the stop criterion. The population size used was 100 individuals. This is an example for 4 machine and 9 jobs. The chromosome size is 11. Genes with value larger than 9 separate the chromosome in 4 parts. So these are the work sequence of each machine. The hypervolume was used to evaluate the performance of the NSGA. Hypervolume measured the performance of the algorithms in terms of convergence and divergence of solution along the parent from. This is the performance, this is the reference point. All hypervolume values were standardized. The higher the value of hypervolume, the best performance of the algorithms. AVG and SD are the average and standard deviation for the mean and maximum hypervolume. The table also shows the number of non-dominated solution and the mean objective function evaluation for evaluation. For the sum number of machine, the average hypervolume and maximum hypervolume decrease consistently when the value of job increases. This figure represents the approximation to the pilot optimal front for instance 8 with 4 machines and 9 jobs. This is the payoff table in the value of the objectives for each solution. The trade-off between three objectives currently is valorized in two-dimensional. Solution A the optimal solution in terms of max span and standard deviation, and the last optimal in terms of average. Solution B represents the optimal solution in terms of max span and intermediate solution in terms of average and standard deviation. And finally, solution C is the solution with the most max span and standard deviation value and the best average value. Solution A, B, and C are shown in this figure. Solution A and solution B appear to be good compromise solution. Not that solution A and solution B share some similar characteristics. P3 subsequence is the sum for both solutions. Solution C does not assign any jobs to machine M1, and the workflow is clearly unbalanced. The performance of NSGA3 was compared with the improved anti-colony optimization algorithms. This table represents for each one on the 15th instance the number of non-domination solutions and the number of those solutions that have a max span value equal or inferior to the best solution among 30 columns. The last two columns indicate the number of instances in which the solution found by the previous study is greater than 1 and greater than or equal to 1, respectively. These results emphasize the advantage of using this approach, since in most instances solutions were found with the best known max-span value. For instance 3, max-span NSGA3 was able to find a better solution. In this instance, the best solution performed early has a max span of 742, while we obtained 738. Conclusion. In this work, the NSGA3 was used to solve 15 instances of shop scheduling problem. 3 objectives were considered: the hypervolume indicator was used to analyze the overall performance of NSGA3. The results indicate a good performance of NSGA3, and this algorithm was compared with an improved anti-colony optimization. Finally, future work aims at solving problems with more objectives and by extending this approach for the distributed job shop problem. These are some references, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Francisco, for your nice presentation. Any questions, any remarks? Eligius, go ahead.
Yes, Francisco, very interesting. You triggered me to think about the last remark you had, where you said, why not to extend to more objectives? Now, I do not really have an idea of which objectives may be more relevant in job shop scheduling. Do you have an idea, suggestion?
Sorry, I don't understand very good.
What objectives would you think about if you have job scheduling?
It's for program the the job of some fabric. I don't know, but I can speak in Portuguese very well, but in English I'm very sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you, Francisco. Thank you again. And we will move on to the third presentation, which will be presented by Eligius. Go ahead. You can share.
Yeah. Going to try to do that. Yeah, I think it's this guy. Yeah. I think this is the guy, no? Do you see it?
Is.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Very nice to be here with many friends, with Lino, Anna Maria, Umberto, Anna, Christina. It's very nice to see you all. So what you see on the screen, I hope we see this on the screen. Yes. So you see the title of a story that we have been investigating for a long time. Okay. So there are several things over here. It talks about polytopes, it talks about branch and bound, and monotonicity. I also made a screenshot last week, so you can see I'm online more than once, of Skype, of all things, of my co-authors, where we try to meet every week since the COVID time. We discuss some new topics. So this is ongoing research for a long time. As Umberto taught me, I should perhaps explain what it is about. No? So because 7 years ago, Umberto said, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I better take a little bit of effort over here, no? So you can see that we are fighting with something to get something working in practice, no? Because we are talking about a generic story at the moment, so like the one of Francisco, no? That you want to try to solve something in general, but there are some underlying applications also. I will sketch that. So if I go to the next slide, I show you the book that inspired me in a very vague way 30 years ago. And this is actually all about theory. It was called Global Optimization by Rainer Horst. And what it did actually was to focus on branch and bound type algorithms. What branch and bound is doing is to enclose your optima with a guaranteed security, with a guaranteed accuracy. So that's completely different than having fireflies running around, okay? So the picture that I made also 30 years ago probably, okay, shows a little bit the idea of a branch and bound tree, and on the left a feasible area where you can see that it is partitioned into rectangles, okay? So in the end you can say which rectangle contains the global optimum, where you're refining the rectangles, okay? In this book, there were these rectangles called boxes. There were simplices and cones. And I will tell you the story how the hell I got to polytopes and what's the difficulty over there, okay? So one of the things is, next slide actually, is that in interval arithmetic, people have been working on boxes to get guaranteed solutions. So this is a founded research. They have their own conferences, etc. One of the ideas over there is that of dimension reduction due to monotonicity. We'll put it in the next slide, okay? That means if like we do in analysis, if the gradient is not zero, then probably you're not close to the optimum, okay? That's the idea. So actually what we did is, for the last 6 years, I think, we extended these ideas to simplices. Actually, this picture has to do with applications that I did also a very long time ago about mixture design. One of the ideas over there is that you're in lower dimensional space, okay? So that's a bit the idea. So the box guys, all my co-authors, wrote a thesis where they did something on interval arithmetic. The story is that if you can prove in a numerical way, okay, so it's not theoretical. If you can prove that we have a derivative to the right, then actually you can reduce the search space in dimension. In boxes, this is very easy because you're thinking element-wise, component-wise. You're thinking about partial derivative. How do you get those partial derivative? Okay, yeah, there are procedures for that. Okay, it's a picture of a range and bound tree on that. Okay, so basically what we did, we did many different things. But okay, at a certain moment, I think the idea was of 2012, and we elaborated 10 years later. Was that, okay, if I have a box with an inclusion of my gradients, that means I have bounds on gradients, then perhaps I can use that also for my simplices. Now, in simplices, life is not so easy. What do I mean with that? Perhaps I'm lower dimensional even, so I have to look for directions where I can prove that derivatives are positive or negative, at least the bounds, okay? So that means the zero is not inside, and that makes that you can reduce your space to one of what is called facets, okay? So we did many things on this. There's an ugly formula over here that's perhaps not directly visible, but it says that, okay, if you give me a bounds on these derivatives, then I can also create bounds on the directional derivative in a direction, okay? So basically, our story started to be, let's look for directions where we are guaranteed to be positive or negative. Okay, so we have this type of pictures in several of our papers, okay? Sketch the idea again. So what's the idea? The idea is that if I do a simplicial branch and bound, in this case with bisection, we did a complete thesis on bisection, so we have some experience with that. So what you observe over here, the green thingy is a simplex. And the arrow is meant to say something like, imagine that in this direction you're going up, guaranteed, everywhere on the simplex, okay? Then we know that the optima over the green simplex are on a lower dimensional facet, right? So we can remove the rest. Even more, we can say, because this facet is interior, that actually we can remove all the simplex. Okay? Because if the optimum is over here, then it is also included in this partition set, right? Now this is a little bit the properties, mathematical properties that we exploited in creating algorithms, okay? Now in these algorithms, how the hell am I going to find these directions? So we derived that, okay, we can do some LP over here, very beautiful. And then after that, we started to hate this LP, no, not me. Theoretically, this is nice. You put it in a computer, then you have to call an LP routine. This takes some time, not nice, okay? So you're getting computational times that are very high, right? So you see him as first author, Leocadio got obsessed with this idea, we shouldn't do the LP, we should look in another way for directions where we can prove that the derivative is positive or negative. Okay. Now, this is even very recent. Now, this is appeared last week, so I can put the DOI later on in the proofs of the lecture notes. I hope, no? Right? Actually, the concept of this branch and bound on boxes, this has been elaborated by many people. There is software that's very efficient. So also, we started to obsess for some months to look for which cases one thing is better than the other. Let's say it like that. Now, in the last paper where we summarized a lot of the material, we also got one of the referees say, yeah, why are you not doing boxes? That was so beautiful instead of your simplicities. So I needed to find the smallest case where I can show that. No? So imagine that we have a triangle as feasible set over here, the optimum over here somewhere. What you can observe is that boxes do not fit very well linear constraints, okay? So the existing algorithm said we can solve everything, also linear constraints, okay? Let them put in the available C code, very fast code, that is doing interval arithmetic, okay? And let's compare that with simplicial branching, where this green area has to do with, it says over here actually now, with this monotonicity, with exploiting the monotonicity. But as you see is that a line is also, or a line piece, I have to say, is also a simplex, so that makes it more efficient. So for this last case, what you can say is that, okay, the traditional way needed an enormous amount of boxes to solve, whereas the simplicity branching bound can do that with less. That's a little bit the idea, okay? We also have the other cases to hit the detail over here. Where I want to go for today, so you got the idea about monotonicity, I hope, and about branching bound. Where I wanted to go for today is where the polytopes come from. So the polytopes come from this observation where my square thinking friend said, it would be nice if a simplex, very beautiful, looks like a box. Now, simplex does not look like a box, right? So, but perhaps we can cut it in such a way that it looks like a box. No? That was actually the analysis to get sharper bounds actually on the gradient. This is the idea, okay? So I started to make pictures, we started to talk about it for 2 months, and then I started to write things down. I think in September, October, I started to write things down. So the idea is over here, the green thing is the beautiful thing, it's a simplex. Then my friends want to cut it over here. Now what you observe is that you don't get simplices back. Now you get a polytope over here. So the question became, why are we not using polytopes in the first place instead of simplices? So I started to write down all the theory about that and to derive theorems. Very beautiful. No, theorems are true. Whether they are useful is something else, okay? So it said something like, this monotonicity is similar, because if you can show that derivatives are positive or negative, then at least you can go to the boundary, which are called facets, okay? So in this picture over here, what you see is that, okay, if this is a direction where everything is going positive, the function is going up, then basically in the end you can throw out this story. You know? If you're doing an LP story, I got the blue line over here, then I also have a direction and say, okay, now we can eliminate in the branching bound this part. Beautiful, beautiful. Theoretically, okay? Nice. Then my friends came up with, okay, but you're cutting this guy over here in your example. Well, the guy actually is an octagon in 6-dimensional space, but I can only make pictures in lower dimensional space, okay? So it's a 2-dimensional figure, okay? So it's a plane which is in 6-dimensional space. So I started to play around with that as an example, no? Later on we used other cases and there we got stuck, but I will share with you, okay? So one of the stories was, what way are you going to split this, refine, as it is called in branching about, these subsets? And one of the favorite idea of Reinhardt was to do using the centroid to, which is called the radial split. Now, for the moment, this looks very nice, no? Because if you make this picture and I get triangles out, then you say, that's wonderful, these are simplices, okay. In higher dimensions, that doesn't work that way, guys. So just think a little bit about that, no? But okay, still doesn't look like boxes, but this is a way we could proceed. So I was elaborating those ideas. So my friends, you can imagine, with the knife, they want to cut my simplex in the middle, no? So what's the painful part? Now, not for the example. For the example, what happens is that I generate two new vertices. I get the right part, I get the left part. So I even reducing the number of vertices of it, okay? Two-dimensional figure, straight line, very nice plane actually, because I'm doing a hyperplane, okay? I'm getting two areas out, I'm doing a bisection. Okay, fine, I'm still okay, no? Yeah, okay. So I'm doing a bisection. So looks okay, no? That this is actually where our headache is at the moment, because now my friend Leo tries to implement this, and then we realize that there are not two vertices. Then in higher dimensional space, higher dimensional volumes, figures, there are many. So I can compute the vertices so far so good. Okay, but let's leave it there. In a moment, I will tell you the problem I have over there. So Hendricks, of course, wanting to converge to simplices as fast as possible, said, the first thing I drew for you was actually, I draw this line through two vertices. And then again, what the leftover, I'm going to look at cutting down as most in the middle of possible. Now we got a problem, of course, because this is in two-dimensional space, and actually I'm running around in six-dimensional space. So made another projection over here to show you what happens over here. Now with these splits, of course, I start to feel very happy because I am getting triangles out of here, and I'm happy again. No, I'm happy with triangles, apparently, because I know how to handle this, right? Good. And there's an intermediate that I also put in the paper that I elaborated that says, okay, perhaps I can use one of the vertices and use that one closest to the centroid and use that. Now in this example, that works very fine, but in another example it didn't. So we also have to think about that. No? So the advantage is, of course, that what you observe over here, I have several of these. S stands for subset, sorry, fast. Of the subsets that are nicely enclosed in boxes, six-dimensional space, okay? And what we do is we cut over here through W1, which is a vertex, and we generate a W9, and then I cut here through W5 in this direction, and we generate a W10, that's a new one. So each time in this picture, I'm generating one new vertex, and the figures also converge to something which is which are simplices. Okay, you're still okay, no, Umberto? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Now I'm going to sketch you the next headache. Okay. So what is this guy talking about? Theory. So look at the beautiful paper that Hendricks made in lecture note, Computer Science, to appear next week now or something like that. So far so good. Theory is very patient, no? Okay. I'll try to sketch the thingy. Hendricks got very handy, not only him, also his co-author, thinking in phase graph. What the hell is a phase graph? What you observe here is that if I have a triangle in higher dimensional space, as you see over here. Then I have vertices, I have edges, and I have a triangle. So these are faces actually of your visible area. Okay. Now imagine that Hendrix, what he's going to do is to split things, then getting phase graphs of the things I split. Now, as long as I'm doing simplicial branching bound, that's not a headache. But what do you mean? Look, if I remove this x1 vertex over here, then what's left over actually is an edge, is a lower dimensional thing. Okay, so if I'm in a two-dimensional space, I'm taking out one of the vertices, I'm getting in a line, a one-dimensional thing. If I take one thing out, I'm getting back to the vertex. So that's what this space, what this phase graph stands for. Okay, so this is four-dimensional actually. Four-dimensional? What are you talking about now? It has 5 vertices. That you're actually in a four-dimensional space. So I have to play with this idea of vertices, and in simplicial this goes very okay, because as soon as I take out one of the vertices, I know what's the facet that corresponds. So going back to this figure, right, imagine that Hendrix does an ingenious thing. He says, this W6 doesn't make any sense. We are monotonous in that direction. So what should this Hendrix do then? He should take out the interior of this S2 and say, instead of storing on my tree that you saw in the first place, this S2, I'm just storing its facets, okay? Edges in this case, right? Now, or I'm not storing W7, W6, because I know that ultimate is not there, something like that. How am I going to do that in higher dimensions? This is at the moment the headache we have, because I know which vertices I have, I don't know which facets I have, okay? So what Bogie also made was this, of course, they are box people now. She made this phase graph to say, okay, looks what the phase graph looks like for a box. No? Now, on a box, also our life is relatively easy, but as soon as, even in this case, if I take away a vertex, I have to think which facets are left over, okay? Because I will get another figure, okay? So that's a little bit the moment where we are, okay? So this is my last slide to relax you a little bit, okay? I've been talking about branching bound, monotonicity, questions of how to split them, and now our current work is about how the hell are we going to put this in the branching bound algorithm in a practical way, okay? So this was my contribution for today. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. It was a very nice talk. I tried my best to to fully understand everything, but I failed in the full sense. But I learned some more things, which is good. And I'm not a box person, but I can understand why boxes are apparently more simple to deal with, because the shape is always the same. Once you start cutting, the shape loses, regardless of being boxes or not. I only have one question, and then I will ask for questions. When you draw 2D, it's difficult enough for me. But in higher dimensions, do you have any control whatsoever of the geometry that can occur?
Now the theory is very patient as usually, no? Because you're saying that a polytope is a convex combination of its vertices. So as long as I have the vertices, then in that sense I have control, no? What I do not control at the moment is that what we wanted to do is to, for a polytope, for a simplex, life is relatively easy. Okay, you have to imagine that even in a data structure, you have subsets with links to the vertices. That's actually what you're doing now. Links in C, this is the standard way to to proceed with now. Okay, but in polytopes, I can also have a polytope links to the vertices. So far, so good. But as soon as I'm going to cut it, so it's not really a geometric, there is a geometric point over here, because at the moment we are just with quite easy cuts. We say we have guys at the positive side, we have guys at the negative side. Oof, there's some guys in the middle, perhaps. No, degeneracy. Okay. But what the hell does the new facet that where I was cutting look like? It's actually the problem
Yeah,
with that. So if you have a solution for that, Umberto, you're
No,
welcome to compliment.
I was in 2D. It's fairly easy to see, to visualize, but in higher dimensions. And I mentioned that a tree, branching on tree in higher dimensions, should be huge.
Yeah, that's the problem. We have the curse of dimensionality, you know. That's it.
Yeah. Any more questions, remarks? So let's thank again Felicia.
Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. And let's continue to the next talk, which will be delivered by I don't know exactly who. Anyone?
I think it's Júlio Rodrigues.
Julio?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we see you.
Julio, can you share your presentation?
Yes.
And put it in entire screen. Great. Okay, go ahead.
Can I start?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Julio, and today I'm presenting our research on identifying malicious URLs using a purely lexical approach. Our goal here is to offer a method for detecting the harmful URLs by examining only their lexical features, without the access and the content of the page they point to. And when we discuss about internet security, the biggest weakness is related to human error, the user factor. URLs, which are easy to follow and extremely available, can trick people into engaging in harmful activities, making the cyber attacks simple to execute. For instance, in 2019, Brazil faced serious issues with malicious URL attacks, ranking amongst the top 15 nations affected. To combat this, blacklisting services are commonly used, and basically services keep a list of well-known dangerous URLs to check suspicious ones against this database. However, these blacklisting services often struggles with the new or unlisted URLs, the so-called zero-day exploits. Another method is using machine learning model to identify the malicious URLs, which can be more complex, but machine learning can be more effective in identifying threats quickly and over time. In our study, we introduced a machine learning model to detect various types of malicious URLs using only their lexical features, avoiding the need to access these URLs directly. So using trusted datasets like Kaggle, those from Kaggle and FishTank, our model achieved competitive results compared to others that rely on network or content-based features, which are more risky to extract. And with this work, we intend to answer the following questions. The first one is, what are the features that define the nature of an URL? And second, if these features are enough to infer with certain reliability the nature of it. So as mentioned earlier, we use the datasets from Kaggle and FishTank for analysis. And before applying any data mining techniques, we conducted an initial exploratory data analysis on the Kaggle dataset to understand key insights about the URLs. So we are dealing with a multi-class classification problem. So we don't want to just say if URL is safe or malicious. We also want to classify which malicious activity the URL is applying, if it's defacement, it's phishing, or malware. Uh, so most of the URLs didn't specify their communication protocol. About a quarter of them use HTTP, and a very small fraction, little more than 2%, used HTTPS. And notably, more than 85% of the HTTPS URLs were malicious between phishing and malware, while all defacement URLs use HTTP. And this suggests that HTTPS URLs are often associated with malicious activity, at least in this Kaggle dataset. So, also on average, the defacement URLs were 50% longer than the secure URLs, while the phishing ones were 25% shorter. And also, HTTP and HTTPS URLs were on average more than 60 and 70% longer than the URLs without a specified protocol, respectively. And these findings led us to hypothesize that the communication protocol and the URL length could play a significant role in classifying these URLs with precision. So from now on, our approach is structured around three primary stages. The first one is feature extraction, where we analyze the URLs without accessing them to identify and extract characteristics that might show if an URL is malicious. So we look at aspects like the URL's lexical structure and certain lexical attributes. And then we proceed to feature selection, where we filter these characteristics to pick the most useful ones, make our models both accurate and efficient. And finally, we selected a set of machine learning algorithms to find the best one for our needs. So in feature extraction, we focus on the URL's lexical structure to avoid the risk of accessing potentially harmful web content. So we look at features like the total number of characters in the URL, which can indicate obfuscation attempts. The number of directories, that is the count of directory levels within the URL, which can so that excessively deep paths can sometimes be a red flag. Special characters, frequency of characters like slashes, question marks, and other delimiters, which could mean complex or suspicious URL patterns. And last example, the communication protocol, whether the URL uses HTTP or HTTPS. Generally, HTTPS is considered more secure, but it is not a definitive indicator of safety. So in the end, we extracted 7 features based on our perform EDA and 14 features based on related works telling 21 lexical features. So in feature selection, we used the method called recursive feature elimination with cross-validation, which reduced our optimal number of features from 21 to the 11 most important ones. This method made our model faster without losing accuracy. And we used the XGBoost algorithm to rank the importance of each feature, finding that the communication protocol was the most predictive one by far. So then we faced a big challenge with our dataset because there were many more safe URLs than the malicious ones. And to handle this imbalance, simply duplicating the minority classes performance random oversampling would substantially increase the computational costs and the overfitting risk without adding any useful information. So instead, we used a hybrid approach. As the safe URLs dominated the dataset, we strategically reduced their quantity from more than 400,000 to 200,000 URLs. And at this stage, we equalized the number of safe and phishing URLs through random undersampling and data scraping from the fish tanks database, respectively. And this helped to reduce it to balance the data set, but since we did this randomly, it might have removed some useful data from the safe URLs. As for the minority classes, the malware and defacement, we used Smart to generate synthetic examples. This technique basically creates new examples from the existing ones, reducing the overfitting risk and potentially improving the model's ability to generalize. So as our founded dataset, we had 800,000 URLs with 200,000 from each type. And the application of these methods were essential to train our models effectively and ensure that they could handle new unseen URLs from all types. So when choosing the classifiers, we took a rather conservative approach by testing only three distinct algorithms. The first one was logistic regression, which is a traditional and easy to understand model that serves as a good baseline for comparison. And the second one was KNN, or K nearest neighbors, a simple algorithm that in this case classifies a new URL based on the majority class of its closest neighbors. And lastly, the XGBoost algorithm, a powerful boosting algorithm that uses multiple classifiers, typically decision trees, and improves them iteratively. It's a bit like an upgrade from gradient boosting and random forest. And it's known for its high performance on complex data sets. So we selected these algorithms to compare the performance of a newer sophisticated classifier like XGBoost with an older classic one like KNN, for example, especially when using a well-prepared dataset. Turning to our results, we evaluated our models using the macro F1 score, which considers both precision and recall across all classes. So here's a summary of our findings. The XGBoost and KNN were the two models that performed the best, making them suitable for detecting malicious URLs. Logistic regression didn't perform as well, likely because it couldn't handle the complexity of the data as effectively as the other models. But all three of them showed reliable accuracy across different dataset samples. That is a low standard deviation in the macro F1 score, which is a first indicator that they could perform well in a real-world scenario. And this also suggests that our dataset has good consistency and a few outliers. And finally, we applied a paired utility test that confirms that the XGBoost algorithm had the best performance with the highest F1 score. But although the achieved results were pretty solid, we detected some limitations in our model. The first one was that our model had a low macro F1 score when dealing with malware URLs, especially misclassifying malware as safe, the so-called type 2 error, which makes our model less accurate, less reliable when dealing with this type of URL. And secondly, some features like the count of directories within the URL and the number of slashes are strongly correlated, which adds redundancy and complexity to our model and makes it harder to interpret the importance of these individual features. So as you look for the future, there are several avenues for the research. The first one would be explore additional lexical features, that is, investigate new and more complex URL characteristics to better detect malicious URLs, especially to reduce the errors in identifying malware. Secondly, could manipulate the highly correlated features, that is, remove, combine, or use PCA on these highly correlated features to reduce the model complexity and improve generalization, which also could lower the overfit risk. And lastly, reduce the data volume, remove redundant URLs that add little value to the classification task, a technique called instant selection, to decrease the data set size and computational costs, especially when in the training stage, while maintaining the model effectiveness. So, in this study, we successfully achieved our initial goals by identifying the features that help to define if an URL is malicious. The results, based solely on the URL lexical structure, are promising and comparable to methods that need access to more detailed network and content features, which are very risky to extract. Ideally, we want to know the nature of an URL without accessing them in any occasion. So that was the main proposal of this work. Tell the nature of an URL based just on the lexical structure. And thank you all for your time and attention. I hope this presentation has provided valuable insights into our approach to detecting malicious URLs using only lexical features. And I'm now happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you. Thanks, Julie, for this nice presentation. Any questions, remarks? I see one here in the room and also one online. We'll start with the room. Anna Christina.
Thanks for your presentation, Julio. And I only want to ask, you use only the FIUN score to measure the accuracy of your algorithms, right? You didn't think in other measures like AUC or accuracy or sensitivity?
We use only the macro FO score. We still need to access our models with more reliable, more metrics to better define if it's adequate to classify with reliability the URLs.
Okay. Elysius, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I would like to add something. Of course, Christina had the question about the statistics, but I repeat that, like Umberto, this is a very nice talk. It's also very clear what you're working on. Because you're classifying the bad guys. There are many bad guys in Brazil, that's what I understand now. They are all over the world, of course. And you want to classify them in how bad they are. Now, my question is, because I'm not in this field, Julio, is how fast can the bad guys generate new URLs? And basically, of course, URLs that, given your analysis, do not classify as bad.
How fast?
Is it possible to generate in one day, again, new URLs, and then to redirect them to old URLs?
Our proposal was mainly in this topic because compared to other solutions like the blacklist service, you need some time to
it's too static, no?
To storage the malicious URL, and generally this takes some days or even weeks. So in the medium long term, it's good, but in the first day, in the first hours, it's not as effective as if you use a machine learning model, a reliable machine learning model. So we could, our proposal is just that, is that we have a model that you can provide an input, a URL as an input to...
And to tell your suspicion about this URL.
Yes, I don't know how to say it. It would be
Well,
like
to identify it as a bad guy. So
yes, the first hours, you know, you have a little preview if this URL is malicious or not.
exactly. My bank is doing the same now. I have a transfer, and then it says, "Oh, I don't know whether this is okay."
Okay.
Thank you, Julia.
I don't know if you answered the question.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Thanks.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Julie. Let's thank again. And we have to move on to the last presentation, and I believe it's Manuela. Okay, Manuela, go ahead. You can share your presentation. Using...
Partilhar, não.
Using this here, this button. Here. Here. If you look here, start screen share. You click there, and then you choose the entire screen, and then you select your... Yes.
Is okay now?
Yes. You can put it.
You can see my slide. Yes.
Yes. You can put it in full screen if you want.
I think
Or in presentation mode. Yes. Yes.
Is in full screen? Yes, it's in full screen.
No, it's fine. It's fine. If with your mouse,
I don't know.
If you put the notes down, you will increase your window, and it will be fine. Yes. If you pull that down a little bit, you will increase your screen.
You can see the full screen.
Yeah. No, we cannot see the full screen, but we can see your presentation, so it's fine. You can go ahead.
I can? Okay, sorry, but...
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Manuela Gonçalves. I'm from University of Minho, north of Portugal, and I am going to present the research work Categories Churn, a Machine Learning Approach in Retail. This study was developed in the context of a big company, Portuguese, of retail, named Sonai. I can move the slides. Oh my God.
You can.
Presentation mode.
Well, if you do escape and leave the presentation mode, you can.
Can pass the slides.
Yeah.
Ou então ela vai carregar nos slides de esquerda.
Or that way, it's the same.
Olha, Cristina, como é que eu posso arranjar isto? Ajuda-me.
Puxa
A little bit of Portuguese, that's good.
Puxa,
antes da palavra para compreendermos, puxa para baixo.
Puxa a secção das notas para baixo, ou então retira.
Mas estas notas estão em português, nem sequer interessam.
Tiras a linha.
Como é que eu tiro?
Puxa para baixo. Não, para baixo. Aqui essa linhazinha que está aí é puxar para baixo. Aí, puxar para baixo.
Não, a linha.
A linha.
Agora.
Puxa para baixo.
Isso.
Okay.
Está bem?
Now, back to English, yes.
Posso continuar?
Go ahead.
In English.
Okay. Sorry. The retail market in Portugal is highly competitive with 73% of customers shopping at more than one brand every week, and 21% shopping at 3 or more brands weekly. Thus, being able to predict churn becomes an effective way to focus efforts on retaining customers, helping to mitigate financial losses and damage to a company's image caused by customers sharing their negative experience with others. Okay? Oh my God. Okay. Okay. So the main objectives of this presentation and this study is create predictive models to, are you listening?
Yes, go ahead.
Create predictive models to accurately predict and explain churn at a category level in a major Portuguese retailer. Combine clustering techniques and machine learning in order to achieve balance between accuracy and simplified model communication, and integrate results into a larger project for advanced decision-making tools. Okay. The data used was collected for the period of January 2021 to February 2023, comprising 40.2 million customers and 196 categories, and transactional data for the Sonai brand companies and partner companies. The methodology used, the project began with the selection and clustering of categories, which was useful in identifying categories with atypical behaviors. Then we distinguish between the types of churn we would work on, either partial or total, and the customers consider for the analysis. Finally, in the first part, we define the churn periods. A data sample was then collected, separating into test and training sets. Given the unbalanced data set, techniques were applied to mitigate this issue, and SMMOTE was used for oversampling the minority class using synthetic data, mitigating the major problem of traditional oversampling. Random undersampling, which only collects part of the majority class to balance observations between both classes, and cost sensitive learning, which isn't technically a balancing technique but achieves similar results by applying different costs to misclassifying each class. Regarding the training dataset, logist regression, explainable boosting machine EBM, and decision trees were applied. These models were chosen for their easily explainable characteristics and can well deal with big data. So, clustering was proposed as a way to reduce the number of necessary churn periods. By grouping categories, you reduce the number of different churn periods, mitigating some of the complexity behind the problem. The category clustering was done using hierarchical clustering and k-means. Hierarchical clustering was used to generate various values of k used in k-means, since the recommended values from the elbow plot and silhouette were not ideal from a business perspective. We start with 196 initial categories, from which unfit categories were removed, such as marketing company categories, those with very low data volumes, or those typically purchased only once. We ended up with 59 final categories. The groups or clusters were then made using the variables numbers of transactions average VAT, and average basket. The number of transitions indicates how often the customer buys the category. The average VAT was used as a measure of how essential are the products in a category, and the average basket gives information about the price and buying behavior of the customer. So we characterize the 6 clusters as follows: essential, side characters, pantry completers, budget killers, delights and clean, beauty, and behind. You needed to define the type of churn to use: total churn or partial churn. In the case of total churn, the customer completely cuts their relationship with the company, making no purchases, while partial churn represents a significant decrease in the customer's pending number of purchases. To this end, a target month was defined, labeled as T, and all present in month T who made no purchase in the following 6 months and analyzed their behavior during the period leading up to the churn moment. In this slide, we can see the behavior. We present a behavior analysis by comparing their monthly spending with the average monthly spending for the period analyzed. These values were then aggregated for customers who churned and those who didn't, and their behaviors were compared. As seen in this graph, with blue for churned customers and red for non-churners, there is a clear distinction in behavior, with a gradual declining trend in churned customers, indicating that using partial churn could be relevant. However, a considerable portion of these customers is in lower value segments where this gradual behavior is not present. Thus, after discussion with relevant teams of the company, it was decided to use total churn. Total churn. Now, the results of the different free models. We have the category fruits, cheese, beers. CCC means clothing care and cleaning. And I am going to focusing on explainable boosting machines. You observe good overall recall for all categories, indicating that we are correctly identify the majority of customers in both categories. Despite this, we observe low precision for the positive class, indicating a tendency of the model to predict too many false positives. This problem can be mitigated by adjusting the classification threshold to a higher value, thus sacrificing the recall in favor of precision. The models also show good accuracy and AUC with robust F1 score values, with only slight underperformance in the case of fruits. Okay. Now, a little of model interpretability. Our libraries used allows us to easily see how each variable affects the model. And here we have the 15 most important variables for prediction models for the fruit in this graph and beer, this graph, categories. In all cases, gross sales for the category were the most important variable, followed by the highest percentage of the purchases in a single month. The second variable appears in the third place for the beer category, with the second most important variable being the month being predicted. These indicate that the beers category will have a more seasonal behavior, as we expected, than the other categories, with certain months having a much greater height in the churn prediction. Now, analyzing the results for specific observations, we have here one correctly classify observation and one incorrectly classify observation. The most interesting part is understanding how the model made this prediction. In the incorrectly classified observation, the customer shows very low sales values within the category, with 40% of sales in a single month and belonging to a low value segment. These would all indicate a high probability of churn. However, the classification is incorrect. It is possible to easily understand the reasoning behind the prediction. In the correctly classified customer, we generally see expected behavior from a typical customer with no signs of churn. Now, some notes for future work. There is still much that can be done to improve the work developed so far, with 4 important points to highlight. First, the use of different types of data, such as information about the customer's location and information about competing brand stores, which would open up a whole new set of perspectives on customer behavior. Then the use of black box methods or models. With model agnostic methods could be interesting to interpret these models' results, thus combining the predictive capabilities of these techniques with the possibility of result interpretation. It would also be important to improve the predictive capabilities of these models for high values customers, as preliminary analysis point to weaker results for these customer groups. And finally, ensuring the ethical of the models and testing causality would be important in the future steps. And thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Manuela, for your nice presentation. Any questions, remarks? I have one question. It was very interesting to see that beer was at top. It's always nice to see. I have one practical question. You were addressed by Sonai or the other way around? Was Sonai?
Sonai is a Portuguese company, and I forget to say this work was made in a context of a master student. Carlos Souza was a master student. He made the dissertation of master in the company. Ana Freitas, the third author, was the woman in the company, okay? And the student, I am very happy because he stand work in the company. The company likes the student, and now she's working at Sonai. For us, it's very important, these things.
Okay. So let's take again. Thank you. And I will call Ana Rocha to end up this year COA workshop. Go ahead. We close together. Go ahead. I would like to thank all the presenters here and at home, and all the not only the presenters, but also the audience here and at home. And at home there was a large audience. So I would like to thank all. Manuela, if you want, you can stop sharing.
Stop sharing, please.
So you
Okay,
can
just
see
now.
everybody. Okay, and now you can say.
Now, thank you all for attending in presence or virtually, and I hope we can meet all of you here next year. Thank you.
Thank you. And don't forget, 2 a.m. here and 20 p.m. in Portugal. Support Portugal. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
And have a good summer all.
See you guys. See you soon.
See you, Rich. See you soon. Okay, Damian.
Yep, that's all.
Os meus meninos vão todos falar às 2h também.
Ah, é?
Então começamos às 9h cada um.
Olha, já estão a apitar. Será que Portugal já ganhou?
Já ganhou.
Portugal, já estão a apitar, olha.
Ah, certeza. Então aqui ganha sempre.
Está sempre a ganhar.
Diz. O que é que eu fiz? Aqui onde? Aqui.
Tu se quiseres tratar comigo, como é que fazes no multiverso?
O Ixan. O que é que eu fiz?
O cartão, deves meter o cartão. Sim,
qualquer
aplicação.
Mas já conseguiram?
Já. E disse, é uma pena que eu acho que General feedback.
Ah, general.
Very good, foi o que tu disseste. Mas eu não, eu disse, nem quase todos eles. É uma pena, podia ser candidato, mas foi online. Porque é para ter a solução que é online.
Depois tem que fazer isso no sítio aqui no.
Mas os online aqui não são considerados, pois não?
Eu espero que não.
Não tem sido.
Porque não faz
Não tem
sentido.
sido, ano passado não foram.
Não foram.
Não tem sido.
Mas não faz sentido porque é o outro, é mais incentivo à pessoa ficar online. E esse é um grande incentivo à pessoa ficar online. Está online e ainda tem um best paper award.
Pois.
Vamos ficar todos online.
E muitos deles é muito bons.
Não interessa, mas não veio. Pagou menos, não veio e acho que não pode ganhar.
Sim, mas não sei se é muito quem é. Mas olha, independentemente de nós estarmos a favor ou não somos nós quem decide.
É assim,
não, mas essa é a minha opinião também.
Se algum até agora ganhou, se era online, foi lá.
Não, mas eu estou a dizer este ano. Parece-me que há essa exposição. Olha, isto na plataforma era
não ativaste principalmente.
Não havia lá nada a dizer se era online.
Foi uma das dúvidas.
E por isso é que eu fui dizendo, é online, é uma pena,
mas eu acho que não pode ser.
Sim, isso eu sei que dá.
Eu também, mas não manda.
Pois, eu sei.
Não parla italiano.
Olha, agora já conseguimos instalar. É verdade. O problema era todos os meus cartões. Meti o cartão dele, funcionou logo. Se calhar é uma definição.
Não, se calhar tem uma proteção, é uma proteção maior.
Pronto, o dele funcionou. Os meus
não funcionou nada.
Olha que eu ontem não tinha mesmo dinheiro.
Não, estou no meu, mas com o cartão.
Eu estava pensando que dinheiro.
Foi mesmo porque
eu sempre vi. E agora, para que é que isto serve? Não consigo pagar.
Vi uma cartinha de
agora, quando for a próxima vez que eu queira pagar, vocês estão à minha beira.
Mas sabes que se adicionar dinheiro aí.
Já tem mais, pelo menos que o banco. E vocês, perguntar isto é importante, nós já fizemos todos o local.
Mas o Fernando
o Google Pay, como é que tu pagas? Tu ontem disseste, eu disse, eu pago com o Apple Pay.
E com o NFC.
Não.
Não é isso.
Não é pagar.
É o cartão.
Olha, tenho aqui uma coisa chamada carteira.
Pronto, também eu. Carteira.
Mas isso não é.
E agora?
Tenho aqui um cartão, outro cartão.
Sim. Mas tem este?
Ah, sim. Vamos levantar com. Pode mandar no cartão.
Aqui,
Está bem. Mas para pagar
aqui.
não, mas alguns multibancos, alguns ATMs, também já têm tecnologia NFC. Também é possível levantar, usando qualquer cartão. Mas não sem mas só as
Eles quiseram que não aceitaram monitores virtuais porque não tinha nome. Que é espetacular, não tinha mais oportunidades, não tinha nome.
Mas olha, agora podemos ir lá.
Vamos que eu tenho dinheiro, não é? Nem que seja para comer um.
Qualquer coisa assim.
Ai, quando é que acaba? Minha quarta. Olha, já encerrar, a vida é essa.
Mas eu acho que a caixa não eu tenho amigos que compram valor e têm a caixa.
Mas está a fazer nos três.
Mas olha, vamos aguardar se eles forem lá.
Eu já tenho que ficar avisada a final dos cartões.
Eu acho que.
Só para ver. É bom.
Eu não tenho Revolut, eu vale a pena, não vale? Vocês têm Revolut, vale a pena?
Eu acho
que... eu sempre os mesmos cartões. Eu tenho 2 do Mileno, 2 do KPI, 2 da Caixa, não precisava de mais. Nenhum deles sabia. Eu pensei que era a minha aula negativa daquilo tudo. É porque não me nada. Tive um dia inteiro no quarto, não conseguia levantar dinheiro para pagar nada.